Here are a few traditional publishing considerations that you should make that you might not know about. The first one we'll talk about is the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule says that 20% of authors generate 80% of the revenue. So most of the money that these publishers are making when they do any sort of marketing or promo work, that marketing and promo work is getting poured into that 20% of authors. So those Emily Henrys, those V.E. Schwabs, these are the names that people will automatically buy a book from, even when they have no idea what the book's about. They'll be like, ooh, V.E. Schwab's coming out with a new book, getting it. Emily Henry's coming out with a new book, pre-order now. Those authors are the ones that are getting a lot of the attention from the publishing companies. So a lot of debut authors probably won't get that help when it comes to marketing and promotion, but a lot of these publishers will offer you some sort of marketing guidance. So maybe specific publications that you can turn to for interviews, or specific groups of people for any sort of reviews. The next thing to consider is advances. Advances are something that is fading from the publishing industry. They are slowly declining. Used to be able to make anywhere from like $500 to $5,000 in an advance from a publisher. That's not happening in the same way anymore. More often, you are actually not getting the advance, but you will start earning your royalties immediately. A lot of the smaller presses will put in tiers. So you'll earn a royalty at a specific level. And then once you sell a certain number of books, that royalty rate will jump. And then you'll start earning at a higher rate. So you no longer have to earn back the advance for the publisher, which was the intent of them. So you get the $500 or $5,000. You would make no money until you earned that back. So sometimes having the advances go away can be nice because you do get money sooner, but then you also don't get the lump sum. So that's something to consider. This is not true for every single publisher out there, but it is something to keep in mind as you are on your search. The next thing to consider is hardcover versus paperback. This is a big one that has really started changing over the last 2 to 3 years as paper prices have gone up. Well, the prices of everything has gone up. But most smaller presses are only releasing in paperback. Very few of them are releasing in hardcover anymore. There are some exceptions, particularly when it relates to something that these presses believe is going to sell. They might be more likely to put it into a hardcover. But if you've been in a Barnes & Noble recently or whatever other bookstore of your choice, if you pick up a hardcover book off the shelf that's a new release, it's running you anywhere between $45 and $50. It's a lot. And it's a lot to ask someone to spend on a debut author. So a lot of publishers are not willing to take that risk anymore. That's not to say that across the board debut authors don't get hardcovers, but it is something to ask about when you're in your search. The last thing to consider is your book's subject matter. Depending on how specific your genre may be, a smaller press can be a really great option for you because they have more access to, excuse me, they have more access to their niche markets. Whether that is a very minor genre or potentially a local interest story. And I'll get into, sorry, more of that in just a minute.